Assalamualaikum to Dr. Aniza. We are from Group J, Principle of Economics. We will present to you about our topic, which is poverty in Malaysia. Assalamualaikum to Dr. Aniza. I will start our group presentation with the definition of poverty. The basic definition of poverty is poverty can occur due to the lack of control over commodities in one country that exceed their economic capacities, such as raw materials, food sources, and also shelters. An individual can be classified as poor if they don't have any access to basic necessities such as foods, shelters, or money if they want to buy anything for them. According to Sen 1985, who is an Indian economist, he believed that poverty is a condition of an individual being unable to function in a certain society. For instance, a limitation is more difficult to transform income into functioning. To reduce their abilities to generate their incomes, which result in less control over resources. Adam Smith, who is a modern economist, said that poverty is a situation that any individuals being unable to afford any essentials driven by customs or nature. Using this approach is give implied equal weight to materials, strictly economic state, and also social and psychological status as an aspect of poverty.
My name is BINTI TARMIZI and my metric number is 3076. Now, I will explain about the cause of poverty.
The unemployment will be divided by 3, which is the informal sector, loss of income, and pandemic impact. The second is low agriculture productivity. The point is income for farmer. Low farmer income and they are forced to use the traditional farming method, and they also have limited access to resource and increase the productivity. This is the example of the work in the rural area to get the income. The third is high global food price. This usually affect the low-income families. This part have 3 points, which is the cost of living, food industry insecurity, and dependency on this point will force the individual to cut back on their essential expenses like education, healthcare, and saving, and it will negatively impact their health and development.
That's all from me. Thank you.
From 2020 to 2022, Malaysia experienced significant socio-economic changes, particularly in poverty. Economic factors and policy adjustment has reshaped the nation's poverty landscape. This documentary explains the key development and their lasting impact on Malaysia's poverty narrative. Our story begins in 2020, a year marked by the recalibration of Malaysia's poverty line income. The national poverty threshold from RM980 to RM2,208, reflecting a more accurate depiction of the true cost of living.
He explained that the poverty line has remained the same level for decades despite increasingly high costs of living. Analyses done by independent groups suggest that Malaysia has significant poverty and that its true poverty rate was about 15%.
The absolute poverty rate rose sharply from 5.6% in 2019 to 8.4%, pushing over 600,000 households into poverty, a significant increase from the previous year. As the calendar turned to 2021, Malaysia found itself grappling with economic challenges. Despite efforts to spur growth, the poverty rate continued to increase, reaching approximately 8.9%. Low wage growth and the rising cost of living worsened the plight of vulnerable households, especially in rural areas, perpetuating a cycle of hardship and deprivation. By 2022, tentative signs of economic recovery emerged, with the poverty rate showing glimmers of improvement as Malaysia began its path to recovery. Despite national gains, stark regional disparities persisted. Rural areas face a poverty rate of 12% compared to 4.5% in urban areas, with states like Sabah struggling with entrenched poverty. As our journey ends, the fight against poverty in Malaysia continues, calling for targeted aid and solidarity to ensure no one is left behind.
There are many issues related to poverty in Malaysia, but in this context, I would like to emphasize poverty during the COVID-19 pandemic and challenges in addressing poverty in Malaysia. Amidst the daily routines, Malaysia, like other countries worldwide, has been tested with unprecedented challenges. The COVID-19 pandemic.
Now, what do these percentages translate into? Well, nearly 490,000 households continue to live below Malaysia's own national poverty line. So, not all households have experienced a uniform recovery. So, in the macro numbers, GDP has surpassed pre-pandemic levels, but almost 500,000 households continue to remain below the poverty line.
In urban areas, thousands of families are facing rising living costs that never seem to diminish, while in rural areas, access to basic resources like education and also healthcare is becoming increasingly limited.
We are providing essential food items that could last a family of 6 for 1 week. And we are doing this to help relieve the tension in the land, because there is so much hunger and our people are suffering due to the lockdown of the government for many weeks now due to COVID-19, the coronavirus that is ravaging the globe.
As a nation, we face a significant challenge in addressing poverty, but with cooperation and unity, we can restore the economy and provide hope to those in need.
She was among 35 underprivileged families from PPR Pantai Ria in Kuala Lumpur who received boxes of groceries from the NGO on June 25th.
For conclusion, poverty in Malaysia remains a multifaceted issue despite significant economic growth and development over the past few decades. The government has made notable progress in reducing poverty rates through various policies and programs, but challenges persist, particularly in rural areas and among certain demographic groups, such as economic growth and poverty reduction. Malaysians' rapid economic development has substantially reduced overall poverty rates. However, economic growth alone is not sufficient to eradicate poverty completely. The government's commitment to initiatives such as the New Economic Policy (NEP) and the National Key Result Areas (NKRA) has contributed to poverty alleviation. So, addressing poverty in Malaysia requires a comprehensive and multi-dimensional approach that goes beyond economic growth. Sustainable poverty reduction depends on targeted policies that address the root causes of poverty, including rural undevelopment, urban living costs, income inequality, and the specific needs of vulnerable population. Continuous government commitment and collaboration with various stakeholders are crucial to achieving a more equitable and poverty-free society. Thank you.